been a while since I've done any throwback reviews, but hey guys, it's John from Album Review TV. I'm going to be bringing you a couple of throwback Thursdays, not on Thursdays, maybe one of them will be, but scattered throughout just because I haven't done too many of them lately, so I wanted to go ahead and get a few classic reviews and ones that I've been wanting to get in over the course of the next few weeks. The first one of those being Deja Entendu by Brand New. Deja Entendu is French for already heard, or a psychological term is what it's usually used as, and basically implying that one has already heard this. It's something that you're hearing again, and at the time Brand New was kind of commenting on the state of modern rock. This was released in 2003. I didn't get my hands on the full record until I guess it was probably like '07. One of my friend Dakota, had given me some of the songs and I kind of sampled and liked. Sick Transit Gloria Glory Fades was the first track I ever got into, followed by Logan, the Government Center off of their first record, which, well, that was only because my girlfriend's name was, at the time, was named Logan, and she introduced me to that song because she thought it was named after her. Basically, they were stating how cliched and cluttered things had become, how this record that they were bringing changed things, bringing these dark, emo overtones to their music, which, along with AFI and a few other bands, I feel like helped start a swing in style and modern rock over the course of the next few years, which actually turned out to be my favorite time in musical history. The album features dark, exploratory commentary on daily life and relationships and dealing with such issues. This record was definitely a huge change in pace from their first record, which was more just teenage relationship problems. Take the track Guernica, for example. Lead singer Jesse Lacey asked himself, "Is this the way a toy feels when its batteries run dry?" Possibly commenting on how one would feel when run into the ground on pretty much an emotional level. P.S. The guitars and screams make for one of the best listens on the entire record. You do not want to miss that track. Heavy bass lines appear on several songs on this record, kind of completely rearranging everything that you knew about Brand New. Song structures, completely new atmospheres in which the band was now residing. The guitars flared up big here and there, but they tended to remain dark, edgy, and kind of mysterious, and much of what I just described is what I truly love about this record. I've heard the comment many times from viewers, friends, in the comment section on videos on YouTube that you have to be high to really get this record. I call bullshit. I don't think that's the case at all. I've never listened to this record high. I've never been into the influence of anything when listening to this record, or really any record that I've ever reviewed. And I feel like it's just something that you kind of have to submerge yourself into. You have to fully let your imagination go and just truly listen to what the band is saying here on this record. Get in their world and then you'll get it. I'm not saying that this record is without flaws, I'm not saying that this is the perfect album, but I really respect this album for what it was, and that was an album that helped bring, along with a few other albums, helped bring this huge turn in modern rock around 2003, 2004. Things started changing for the better, and that's why 2003 to 2007, my favorite time in music. Let's go ahead and talk about a few of the tracks. Okay, I Believe You, But My Tommy Gun Doesn't starts off with Jesse Lacey singing, "I am heaven sent, don't you dare forget." I absolutely love that. It just seems so cocky, but at the same time I can't resist it. The guitar starts off pretty light and follows this simple but fresh pattern as Jesse kind of comments on life and sings, "You can't keep a secret if it never was a secret to start." Lyrically, I feel like this track is pretty much flawless, as is much of this record. So well written for the most part. Who could forget the line, "My tongue's the only muscle that works harder than my heart." "I will play my game beneath the spinlight" sounds a little bit dark with traces of electronic rock flaring up throughout some of the verses. To me, all of this time later, it's still one of the more memorable tracks on this record. I love how the track kind of brings in these outside influences and applies them, and doesn't do it in a way I feel like that maybe at the time it did, but I think looking back at it, I think fans noticed what a big and awesome step this was for Brand New. The lead single from the album was The Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows. It's definitely close to the top in terms of my favorites here on this record, with the guitars and vocals really getting the spotlight here on this track. The guitar style and tone on the intro of this track has been mimicked at least a few times. I'm not going to call out any names, but I've got at least two that come to mind. But it's really damn obvious whenever bands do kind of rip this off. The chorus features these strong chords that are played behind a mix of clean and yelled vocals, which slightly remind me of Taking Back Sunday, which is kind of funny because Jesse used to be in Taking Back Sunday and then kind of had a falling out with I believe it was John Nolan. Me versus Maradona versus Elvis is almost like reading from Jesse Lacey's private journal and really makes you think as well as respect this man from a writing standpoint. Although you might not agree with what Lacey is saying, I personally have to applaud his honesty here. He speaks of how easy it is to trick a girl into falling into love with him, and he almost feels bad for doing what he's doing. And while he sits there and ponders while looking at this girl, he realizes that even though he might not want to rip the girl's heart out and throw her emotions kind of on the ground, so to speak, he's going to do it anyways and somehow learn to cope with what he's doing as the girl falls for his every empty word. One of the absolute standout tracks on this record that needs to be revisited frequently. Good to know that if I ever need attention, all I have to do is die. The longest track title and one of my favorite track titles of all time. Definitely, hands down, a wicked guitar solo caps off this truly awesome track that I almost wish had been the closer, but I don't even want to get into all of that and sharing my opinions there. I don't think the closing track was that amazing or anything. Oh, you thought I wasn't going to talk about Sick Transit Glory Fades? Hell no, I cannot miss out on that track. It's my favorite song. It's my favorite Brand New song. I don't care if that's cheesy or cheap to say, oh, that's one of the singles, you're just a single guy. I've got the album. I've had the album since 2007, and Sick Transit Glory is just the one that stands out to me the most. I love the bass line, the vocals and the chorus, the fever, the focus. I just love the intensity that the track brings. Just the lyrical content, it's edgy. At the time, I'm sure it was extremely edgy, and to this day, it's very sexual, I feel like there's a lot of tension on the track that just Lacey is just unleashing vocally, and just emotions flare all over the place. Hard guitars, big bass line, the drums, everything about this track is perfection. Overall, this record does have a few shortcomings here and there. There's some tracks that I'm not quite as fond of, but overall I think it's an album that I just really respect just because of the fact that it helped bring this big change to modern rock music. This, along with several other records at the time, just really started changing how rock sounded. And I think that rock has definitely kind of died off for now, but I think it will have a resurgence one day. 4.5 out of 5 for me for Deja Entendu. This record being over 11 years old is mind-blowing to me. But let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Let me know what other throwback reviews you want to see me do. I'm thinking about doing Insomniac by Green Day, In Utero by Nirvana. There's plenty of others on my list that I'm going to get to throughout the year. Downward Spiral, Nine Inch Nails, Suffer and the Witness, Rise Against. There's a lot that you guys have requested, so definitely keep hitting me up. And gotta get to that Alkaline Trio review, Agony and Irony, I promise. Album Review TV, beyond the reviews. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe.